Apple's spring-loaded event brought a long-anticipated new product in AirTags, and if you follow the rest of the products released, the beginning of the end of a recently released product. Let me explain. Hey, Andrew here. Today talking about Apple's spring-loaded event and what product they killed in the process. I love talking about technology and new Apple products. If you do too, consider subscribing and enabling notifications. There's a lot to uncover here about the new Apple stuff, so let's talk all about it. Apple's spring-loaded event brought with it, as usual, a handful of new services and products. Here's a quick summary. The new Apple Card features for the ability to share with family members, including children. A new paid-for subscription service for Apple Podcasts, which sounds like something close to a Patreon-like thing. AirTags, a redesigned M1 iMac, an iPad Pro with M1, and a new Apple TV with newly designed remote. I'm going to skip over the Apple TV and the credit card and podcast because those weren't really the stars of the show. To me, it was the other hardware that really took the spotlight. I forgot to mention a new purple iPhone, but who really cares about that? The AirTags have been long rumored and are now released. If you're familiar with the Tile, this is kind of the same thing. It's a tracker that you attach to things you might lose or don't want to lose. It uses Bluetooth to allow you to track its location. Maybe you put one on your keys, then you can easily find them if you forgot where you put them. Or worse, if you lost them somewhere, you can use the app to see its location and track it down that way. AirTags and the Tile seem to have a lot of similar features, with the AirTags having a big advantage. Both of these Bluetooth trackers will use Bluetooth with your phone to find its location, but that's only useful if you're within Bluetooth range of the thing. When you're out of range, the Tile will let you use the millions of other Tile's users' Bluetooth connection to ping your device. There's built-in privacy to make sure only you can track the device, but now you're not only relying on your phone's Bluetooth connection, but the phones of presumably millions of other people. The AirTags do a similar thing, but the advantage comes with the size of the AirTags' likely network. You see, AirTags will use the Find My network, the same network that's available on all of the other Apple devices. And it's very likely, maybe a given, that there are more people with an iPhone than with a Tile. So your ability to track down a lost device with an AirTag just got a whole lot better than it ever was with a Tile. Comparing the two, AirTags cost about the same as a Tile, although Tile comes in a couple different variations and form factors. The AirTag is also IP67 weather resistant, and the battery is said to last about a year. In a very surprising move, at least to me, you can replace the battery. In a very Apple twist though, you can buy a $400 Hermes keychain for your AirTag, because what the hell else are you gonna do with your money? Apple also quietly announced the end of the MacBook Air. What? That isn't what you heard? First, the new 24-inch M1 iMac. The colors. I mean, nostalgia can be a powerful thing, but I never thought that would apply to things like computers. I think it was like 1999 when Apple released the iMac G3 with this type of color selection, and those were cool computers. These colors alone might have given some people who were looking for a reason to get an iMac a reason. It's really thin, which is starting to become such a dumb thing, I think. Apple focuses on highlighting in a desktop machine. Really, they're just showing us that this is getting closer to looking like an iPad on a stand without a touchscreen and running Mac OS. It's also less than 10 pounds. But again, who cares? It's a desktop machine. But let's get down to it The iMac is the first desktop, well, second desktop, first iMac to get the M1 processor in it. Now, some rumors were trending towards an iMac would be released with the second version of Apple's new silicon inside, but this has the M1 and this is no surprise. We've all seen the benchmarks of the M1. The performance is no slouch, and I own the M1 MacBook Air and am thoroughly pleased with the performance. The Mac Mini with a desktop power supply and active cooling is super impressive for an entry-level machine. With this new iMac, I really expect performance, if not on par with that Mac Mini, a lot better. Some other tech specs, it does come with 2 Thunderbolt/USB 4 ports, which makes all the sense. But I'm sure there will be people out there that are upset because they didn't include the USB-A or an SD card slot. And really, everybody is upset because they have to use a dongle. You do get 2 extra USB 3 ports on the higher end configurations. Those are not USB 4 or Thunderbolt, but that's just a limitation of the M1. It of course does have a 24-inch 4.5K Retina display that is probably awesome. They did take a nice turn releasing some much needed features in the area of video conferencing, however, where this iMac finally comes with a 1080p camera. This was the move that makes the most sense with remote work being more widely utilized. It's said to have auto white balance, exposure, face detection, etc., although there was no mention of autofocus in there. Now I know this isn't the first iMac with a 1080p webcam in it. I think I'm still just a little salty because my M1 MacBook Air still has that crappier 720p camera. Further on the video conferencing side of things, the studio quality mics from the M1 MacBook Pro do make its way over to this one, which is really cool and should help remote workers. And it's said to have a 6-speaker audio system, which they talked up, but I'm really curious how this is going to sound in some of the reviews that surface. On a further extension of cool, this also comes with a new Magic Keyboard that now enables Touch ID. This was something I wish I had in my MacBook Air with my Bluetooth keyboard, but of course it's not built in. So there is an option now where you can add this new Magic Keyboard that comes with the iMac to any Mac running the M1 processor, which is really nice. When I'm in desktop mode, I run my MacBook Air in clamshell using my Logitech MX Master keyboard, and that doesn't have Touch ID, which I kind of miss. But this is cool, the technology's there. Hopefully we'll see this come out in some other third-party keyboards, maybe soon down the line. The new Magic Keyboard and Touchpad are also color matched to the new iMac's color scheme, which is nice. And it also comes with a new color matched power cable that connects with a magnet. I mean, that's just cool. I know we've had the MagSafe for years, but can't we just have everything connect with magnets? Let's just do that for everything. They also put the Ethernet connection in the power transformer of the iMac. And although it seems like odd placement, that does make for simple connectivity and a cleaner desktop look when you do it, because now you can just connect the Ethernet to the transformer that's maybe sitting on the floor and your desktop looks a little cleaner. This gigabit Ethernet connection is, however, only available on the higher end configurations. The price does start a little higher than the beginner models at $1299, but that's because the base model, 21.5-inch iMac that starts at $1099 is still available with an Intel i5 in it with the old silver design. So there you go. What I saw though was one major thing. This is probably a way more performant desktop version of my MacBook Air with a way better screen and better webcam. But okay, this probably wasn't enough to completely kill off the MacBook Air crowd, but the MacBook Air is still very much primed for extinction. But it's the new iPad Pro that's pushing it closer to the edge. The new iPad Pro also now comes with the M1 processor inside. So is it just the next version of the A14 Bionic chip? Or is this now the touchscreen Mac we've all wanted, you know, without being a Mac? I guess. This will still run iPad OS, so it's not a desktop operating system, so maybe it's not that touchscreen Mac. But this has a fanless design that should compete with the performance of the M1 MacBook Air. Oh, and it has a crazy new display that blows the M1 MacBook Air out of the water. It's a Liquid Retina XDR display, or really a mini LED display. And let's compare this to Apple's existing 32-inch 6K XDR Pro Retina display that goes for a smooth 5Gs. That display is a similar mini LED technology with 576 local dimming zones. It has crazy good contrast ratio of 1 million to 1 and a standard screen brightness of 500 nits. It also has a full brightness of 1000 nits and a peak brightness of 1600 nits. Now, as I understand it, there's no direct conversion from nits to a common light bulb language like lumens, but that's freaking bright. Back to the iPad Pro, it's just as bright as that $5,000 display, but at only 12.9 inches, and it has 2,500 local dimming zones thanks to the brand new 10,000 onboard mini LEDs. I'm trying not to geek out over this technology, but if Apple did just show a way to make $5,000 technology smaller, better, and that much more affordable, that spells great things to come for display technology. This crazy good XDR display is only available on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but the 11-inch still comes with a Retina display at 600 nits of brightness. That's still brighter than my MacBook Air. As for I/O, it has USB-C just like the former iPad Pro, but this time supports Thunderbolt and USB 4 for those blazing fast transfer speeds. On the connectivity side, it still supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0 technologies, and it also now has 5G connectivity. The package I've described so far is enough to tell you that this is enough to officially kill off the MacBook Air. But there's one more feature that I think is super cool. Not new per se, but super cool. Center stage. In the age of remote work and video calling, this is a very timely feature. One that should have been put on the Macs too. Center Stage uses the iPad's ultra-wide camera and machine learning to change how you participate in a video call. As you move around, it will automatically pan around to keep you in the frame. It will also recognize if someone else has joined in and automatically zoom to include them in the frame as well. Again, we're in a state of remote work and video calling to stay in touch with family and friends, so this should be a standard feature on every device. Likely it's not because it does use that ultra-wide camera on the iPad, but to me that just means you put the ultra-wide camera on every device. I know a similar feature exists on those weird Facebook camera things, but they use a mechanical motion to pan, and the only other device I've ever experienced this type of panning is on the Microsoft Surface Hub. Yeah, that's their 70-inch, $10,000 screen that's made for the office environment. So in summary, my M1 MacBook Air is probably now obsolete, and someone is probably going to spend $400 on a Hermes tag keychain so that they can use their new AirTag to find it when it gets lost. I still love my new M1 MacBook Air, so I'm not about to buy a new iPad Pro because I actually do have other things I'd rather do with my money. Hey, thanks for watching. I do hope you found this insightful. I gave my MacBook Air M1 a full review after 2 months of using it, and I love it. Check that video out here, and subscribe if you haven't, and check out my video for more tech coverage. See you in the next one, and remember, stay digital.